earlier this week, there's some news that came out before earlier in the season. We were hearing that Roger Goodell was against the tush push. And, we knew that there was maybe going to be some changes to the hip drop tackles. But, there's been a lot of things circulating. But he rebuts that, Reeta. He says that's not true, at least with respect to the tush push. So let's hear from Roger Goodell and hear what he had to say.
I haven't taken a position on that one. I think, the last year the committee had a lot of different views on that. The membership did. I want to hear that again this year. I want to hear how people feel about it. A lot of it's I like or I don't like. I think we want to look at, is there enough data to talk about the safety of it? Are there other aspects of it that we need to think about? A lot of coaches talked last year about innovation would come off of that play. I'd like to take a look back at that. Has that really occurred? I think in anything, it's important to hear the different perspectives, let the committee do their work. I'll be able to participate in that, and I'm sure we'll have a position by March.
Reeta, what do you think is the reason for this change? Because I do believe he's probably changed his position. I don't think credible reporters were just out here misreporting or misrepresenting things. So do you think it's been the attention on it a little bit? Because you've had a lot of players and people in the NFL who've spoken out about the tush push, that aren't even on the Eagles, we shouldn't take this away. As recently, even Jerry Jones, it should stand. You don't actually have players getting hurt as a result of it. And it feels like it would just be penalizing one team. So do you think it's that kind of talk? I mean, the NFL does what it wants to do, in my opinion. So I don't know that would really change their mind. But what do you think is maybe the reason for this shift, maybe in his position, or maybe this delay and letting things play out some more?
I mean, when you start having owners start speaking up and saying this is not something that we are looking to get rid of, then I think that that's part of the issue, right? Okay, well, he speaks for the owners, and Jerry Jones is one of the most powerful owners in the National Football League. So if you got a guy like Jerry Jones who is on the side of the tush push, then you probably have a lot more owners on the side of the tush push, which is why they're probably like, oh, okay, this is something that we're not really going to go after. Also, this is an offensive play. Okay, we are in the times where the NFL is about all offense, and to take away something like this, I just don't think is something that they would want to do. The rules have absolutely been in favor of the offense, and this would just be one, situation where, again, like you said, it feels like it's towards one team, because we don't see often too many other teams doing a tush push. We see the Philadelphia Eagles do it, but now other teams have taken into what they're doing. So the bigger issue for me is the hip drop, because once again, this is another penalized situation for the defense. How are they going to be allowed to tackle at this point? And I think that that's a valid question. You're not really allowed to tackle high, because a lot of times when you do that, you have helmet to helmet contact. You can't do it low because they say you're going after their knees. So the middle of is essentially what you're getting with hip drop tackles. And it happens all the time, Nat. That's the thing. Hip drop tackles are not something that just happens once or twice a game. It happens regularly. When I watch college football, that is all these players are doing, because that's what they've been taught to do over the past few years due to the rule changes that the NFL has had. So I don't think that the percentage of injuries to tackles is as high as they'd like it to be. The problem is that you're seeing too many people, I guess, of prominence be injured, like a Mark Andrews that got injured on a hip drop tackle a few weeks ago in the Ravens game. But again, I don't know what defenders are supposed to do at this point. If you can't hit high, you can't hit low, well then the hips are in the middle. So I'm not really sure what exactly it is they were going to do. I never once thought, that the brotherly shove was ever going to be a situation that was going to be taken out, because the league loves offense too much. But what they are going to do is simply subtract every single thing that the defensive players can do, and now it's going to make them an even more a situation where they just cannot get right. I just don't know how that's going to work. We'll see how that goes.
You have to imagine that some of the owners are as well that, like, look, you don't want things like that taken away, because if your team eventually has something like that or masters it, you don't want it taken away from you either, right?
For
So there's probably
sure.
some of that thinking involved. And it's interesting because I mean, we'll be talking about the NBA later, but it's also another league where defenders feel like the rules have changed so much over time and they cannot defend in the same way. And that just seems to be the continued progression, of the NFL. Wow.
Yeah, but when you talk to offensive players too, there are a lot of guys that don't even agree with this because again, it is football. Football is a dangerous sport. Football is a contact sport. And so while you understand that there are going to be things that you can prevent, right? The helmet to helmets, yes, we can try to phase that out. Even going after the knees, that's something that we can phase out. But there are certain things from a physiological perspective, I just don't know how that's possible. Them saying that, oh, when you sack somebody, you can't put your whole dead body weight on. Well, I don't, everybody's not intentionally doing that, but there's a 300 plus pound lineman.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
even...
So, how do you tell somebody, you tackle them softly, but don't put your whole body weight. In some cases you can, and of course it's egregious, and you can throw that flag. And then in some cases it's just really just science, and that it just fell the way that it did, but you can tell it's not intentional and they're getting flags. So again, I don't understand what defenders are supposed to do at this point. You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low. You can't hit them in the middle.
Right.
You can't put your body weight on nobody. I mean, are we playing flag at this point? And again, you'll hear former players, both sides say, I don't really love this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's something above my pay grade.
Mine too, clearly.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.